Okay, I want to just demonstrate two things here. One is using the gradient tool, and another is using the camera and the blur tool to create the effect of a zoom in. So an object's out of focus and then you're zooming in closer to it and it's coming into focus. Okay, so the gradient tool is fairly straightforward, but I think it can be you can get some nice effects. It can be particularly useful for background. So just wanted to demonstrate with a simple background here. So I've drawn out a kind of very simple sort of slightly abstract shape in the background here. And then to fill this with a gradient, you can either go to Window and Color, or you can go to the panels over here, and this one at the top looks a bit like a palette, is the color, shows the color panel, and then we can create our gradient from here. So you see at the moment we've got set to solid color. If we switch to linear gradient, and then we have we can create our own gradient here. Okay, and then we have, if we select linear gradient from the top here, then we can control the colours of the gradient here. So if we click on here, on this first box, we open the colour swatch, we can choose a colour. And likewise with the other box, a double click will open it. You can also add colours to the gradient, as many as you want. You can rearrange the order of them. Sorry, I'll do that again. Okay, so we've got a kind of three color gradient there. Now, when you've created your gradient, if you click Add to Swatches here, okay, it will add the color to the color swatches. So if I go over to the color paint fill color here now, click on here, you will see at the bottom now that gradient I've created has been added. So I can select it from there. Okay, if I just click on the stroke colour here, I want to set that to no colour because we don't want to stroke. Sorry, just select the gradient again. So yeah, just remember, click on the paint fill colour here, select the gradient from here, select the paint bucket, and then we can fill our shape that we've drawn in the background, for example. Now, if for any reason you decide that you don't want the line here, you can delete that. The quickest way is to just drag a selection over the object. If you shift click on the character in the foreground, if you've got anything in the foreground, anything you don't want selected, you can just shift click on that to deselect it. And then if you also shift click on the gradient fill itself, because you don't want to delete that, and then press delete, and that will remove the line. Okay, so that's the first part. Just wanted to mention the gradient fill tool there. So that's on layer 2, the background here. We'll just lock that layer because we don't want to apply this next effect to that layer. So the next technique involves using the virtual camera and creating the effect of a zoom into focus. So first of all, we want to add a camera layer. So if you click on the camera tool at the top of the layer panel here, that will add an additional camera layer. I'm just going to zoom in a bit on the timeline here. Okay, and then we want to think about, okay, how long do we want our zoom to last for? So if we say 5 seconds, so we go to 5S, shift click, and F5 to block everything out to there. Okay, and then we're going to apply a motion tween to the camera. So if we right click on the camera layer, create motion tween, and then we want to decide, okay, well, we want the zoom to last for about 3 seconds, and then it will just, the zoom will stop. So if we move the playhead to 3 seconds, press F6 to insert a keyframe. Okay, and then at F6, we want to zoom in. In fact, incidentally, we don't actually need to press F6. So if I just undo there, all we actually need to do is move the playhead to 3 seconds, and then if we move the camera, okay, you'll see it automatically actually adds a keyframe. So yeah, we're gonna just move the overlay here, the tool here to the right, the zoom tool, so we're zooming right in on our character. I want to just move the camera down a bit. Sorry, other way. So we're keeping our character in the center of the screen. So at the moment you'll see that the camera has zoomed in on the character itself, but you'll see that the background has also scaled up at the same rate as the character in the foreground. So the background is kind of too big now. So what we can do is, you see this tool here, so this attaches or detaches layers from the camera zoom. Okay, so if we click on the background layer, and that basically detaches that layer from the camera zoom, so that background stays, you know, in the background, and we're just zooming in on the character in the foreground, which is what we want. Okay, so we've got the camera zoomed. Now we just need to apply the blur effect. Now we have to apply that to the layer, the character layer. So first of all, we're going to apply a motion tween to the character layer. So right click, motion tween. Okay, once you've applied the motion tween to the character layer, it's then just a question of moving the playhead to where you want the blur to have cleared. So that corresponds with the zoom here on the camera layer. Click on the character to access its properties. Go to the properties panel, go to filters here, click on the plus sign, select blur, make sure blur's at 0 on this keyframe. Scrub the playhead back to the start. Click on the character again to access its properties, and here you can just increase the blur. Okay, and then that will tween from blurred through to clear on the second keyframe. Okay, we can test that out. Control test scene. Okay, and we have the effect of a zoom into focus.